And God said, "Let there be
The
light."
Lord says, "Let my people go."
I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
This is the Talkin Bible podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Bible Wait What with me. No, that's not the name of our podcast. We were just talking about that on the last episode. I was just saying, that's our old name, folks. And I switched into autopilot mode then. I was just completely in autopilot mode. I'm going to leave that in just for the joke. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Talkin Bible, not the Bible Wait What? I had to do that. Yes. Talkin Bible with Rohan Bell and Phil Wearden. Hello, Phil.
Hi, Rohan.
And we're having a bit of a joke, but we're about to talk about a story which is not one of the joking stories of the Bible, is it? This is one of the tough ones. One of the most emotional, deeply traumatic stories in all of Scripture, I think.
And especially if you go to the Holy Land and you go to the Garden of Gethsemane, you won't walk out of there going, yeah, so what?
No, you will not go saying, so what? That is significant, one of the most significant events in all of a Holy Land tour. Even with the buses and horns tooting in the background that Jesus wouldn't have had to put up with.
No.
To be in that garden among those olive trees, many of them would have been, they say they've been there 2,000 years, olive trees, the root system and all that sort of stuff. To be there and know that Jesus has this significant Gethsemane olive press poured out moment of grief and anguish and anxiety even, it's a surreal experience, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was, first time I was there, I think, I went into the Church of All Nations at the bottom there on my own. The first time I went back before I went with you, and I was listening to a priest. It was an English priest leading a service. Was that when you were there with me? No, I think it was there on my own. I think I was there with my own. Jill was wandering around in the garden, and I was listening to this priest, English priest, leading this service, and it was genuinely heartfelt Christian message, beautiful message about the Gethsemane experience. And I walked outside, walked around the corner, and there's Jill weeping. Yeah. She's reflecting as she's in the garden. So anyway, that's enough of that component. Let's bring that back to the story. And what do you want to talk about in this experience of Jesus in Gethsemane?
Well, I just wanted to sort of highlight sort of this is where Jesus was in the garden. He was distressed and anguished, and he says, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death." And he goes a little bit further, and he says, "This is Matthew 26." If it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me, yet I want your will be done, not mine. This is a total trust in the Father, knowing that God's in ultimate control. He knows he will come through it to the end, but he's still got that that grief, that anguish. It's like, I know I have to do it, but don't want to do it. But that submission is just so powerful.
It certainly is.
The weight of it, the weight of the world, literally.
Yes.
On top of on him.
If there's any way, Father,
yeah,
please, no, not this way.
Yeah.
That's a man who is fully aware of what he's about to endure, and still is able to say, nevertheless, despite what I want, I'm prepared to give up what I want for what is best for others. Yeah. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And he gets to that point of resoluteness. This is his ultimate test. When Jesus is on the cross, he's passed the test.
Yeah.
This is his garden test moment. Yeah. I don't think it's any significant. It's lost that this happens in a garden.
Yeah.
Because temptation comes in gardens.
Yep.
It's a motif that gets picked up multiple times in the scriptures. So, of course, we're famous Adam and Eve. So this is his moment to, he's had one earlier on in the desert, earlier in his ministry, and then he's had this one in a garden where he is tempted to go, I want what I want. It looks good to me to avoid this. It looks good in my own eyes to avoid what I have to go through. But he does what Eve and Adam don't do, and he goes, nevertheless, Lord, for the sake of others, I will give up what I want for others. That's what they were supposed to do. and they didn't do it. So Jesus here finds the way to fulfill what Adam didn't.
Yeah.
He becomes truly the last Adam at this moment. From here on in, it's resolute. And the rest of it's just a done deal in Jesus' mind. I'm going through with this now. But this is the moment of absolute anguish.
Yeah. Yeah. The absolute surrender.
Complete surrender.
Yeah.
Complete love. Yeah. So like I said, this is Jesus. Jesus goes through with this not because he wants anything other than he wants to win us. He wants to win you. He looks through the annals of time. He sees Phil Wearden.
Yep.
He sees Rohan and Phil. He goes and he sees our listeners and he goes, I want them with me. I will go to the cross for them. That's what he does. And it's what it says in Hebrews, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. And it was at this moment in Gethsemane where he made that decision and the depth of anguish that it took. And the anguish wasn't even the physical pain. I don't believe that. I reckon it's this kind of turmoil of what's going to happen between him and the Father.
Yeah.
It's this severing, this conglomerate, it's about to all go awry. This Jesus who's been with the Father from eternity past, is somehow that relationship is going to be changed or altered. I don't want to get into whether that was severed or whatever. That's all atonement theology. It's beyond the scope of this episode. But something, he knew that there was going to be some relationship alteration with him and the Father.
Yeah.
It was going to cause some level of grief. He knew that all of the weight of the sin of the world, maybe that's another way to look at it, he knew of how he'd looked around and seen at the mess of what sin had caused, and he knew that he was going to have that pain, that anguish laid on his shoulders. I'm not surprised he was having second thoughts.
Yeah.
if he was in anguish about that. You can't possibly know that. If he was going, oh, yeah, it'll be right, no worries, easy done, he wouldn't be a human.
No.
So he had to allow that to settle on his shoulders. It's huge.
Yeah.
And he did that because of us. He looks at us and he goes, I want them with me. I will do this. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done because I want them with me.
Well, I think it's the Luke Gospel where he says that he was so anguished that he was praying drops of blood, sweats of blood. So,
and you're the nurse. What's it called? Heme or something or other? It's
something.
Some kind of medical condition that your body sweats blood when it's under tremendous anguish and stress. Yeah.
Yeah. So
all the capillaries burst or something inside your body and your skin or something, don't they?
something along those lines. I've never seen it, haven't really researced about it. I don't want to.
Yeah, don't want to, but it is some kind of recognised medical condition.
Yeah. So that just keep reflecting that Jesus' total trust that God, you're in control. And he says other places where I could have called 10,000 legions to come and...
Well, that's immediately following this story. Yeah. After he's made this decision, then they show up in the garden immediately following the priests and he goes, put your sword away, Pete. Don't you know I could call on legions of angels?
But I'm
willingly.
Yeah.
So this is his moment. This is his Garden of Eden testing moment, and he passes it.
Yeah.
And he passes it. He gives up so much. I mean, all Eve had to do was give up eating of a fruit. All Adam had to do was give up eating of a fruit. He has to endure the sin of the result of Adam and Eve choosing to eat that fruit. And he has to do that, and he does it, and he passes the test. Yeah. And it's no surprise it happens in a garden called Gethsemane, the oil press either, because, well, I mean, did you have it in your notes to talk about the oil press? Because I know you've talked, why don't you tell our listeners about the three presses and all that sort of stuff? So, you remember all that? You've talked about it before, haven't you? We talk about it when we go to Nazareth.
We have talked about it.
Can't remember.
Definitely, it's like 3 lots of pressing.
Three lots of pressing. Yep.
I'm just trying. The first is the
virgin press, the pure press,
pure oil. So that's sort of a gentle squeeze. So I'm going to say gentle squeeze. Then they press it again, and that gets few more of the impurities in there. And then they do a final third press, which really squeezes the daylights out of it.
It crushes all the seed and everything else.
So there's a lot more grit and...
exactly. So when we go to the shop and buy extra virgin olive oil, what we're doing is we're getting that first press, which is used for high-end things. It was used for temple service. They would have to have the best oil of the service. It would be used for cooking and things like that. The third press would be used for
the
candles, all that sort of stuff that's less important.
So there was a lot of soot and smoke and,
exactly.
with that. So it's a lot more impure.
Yeah. And it's a 3-staged process. And it's interesting that Jesus 3 times prays and goes back to the Father and has this thing. It's like each time it says the anguish is more and more. I don't think there's any surprise in that.
No.
That he goes to a place called Oil Press where he's crushed right down to completely seed squashed to the. That's why I'd say this moment is more testing for him than it's because of this moment that he can go before Pilate, he can go before the Sanhedrin, and do what we talked about in the previous episodes, just keep quiet.
Yeah.
It's because he's done his business.
Yeah.
It's a done deal. He is crucified at this moment because he's been completely crushed. Which, what does it tell me about Jesus? The depth of love that he did as for me, that he did this, is huge.
And it's a poor reflection then on the disciples who kept falling asleep.
And
And Jesus sort of says, stay awake. You're like, I know you wanted to, but your spirit was willing, but your flesh was just...
I know, so weak. In funny, slight aside from this, I often think of this story, Gethsemane, and them falling asleep. When we were in Israel and... for some reason, I didn't acclimatise to the time as much as everybody else in 2018 when we were there. So I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning walking around. Anyway, I don't know if I've ever told you the story. When we were in the Israel Holocaust Museum, and we had one of the few times we had a guy with us, I could not stay awake. Did I tell you the story? Like I was sitting there.
I know he was dry.
Oh, he was very dry, and I could not. And I remember I literally was falling asleep, like sitting up. Desperate. I was going, this is torture. And I'm at the back of my mind, I'm going, but I'm listening to story of Jewish Holocaust victims.
Yeah.
And I can't stay awake. And I remember that internal battle going on. And it was like physically I could not stay awake, but mentally I knew this is crazy. Yeah. How can I not endure this talk about these people and what they've been through? But I always link it back to what these guys must have been feeling, physically trying to, and it gave me a new compassion for them. In the past, I've always gone, oh yeah. But if you just get so physically tired, because my heart was in it, but the flesh was weak in that story. I wanted to listen to that story desperately, but my flesh was so weak. So it's given me a compassion for these guys. They were just tired. They'd been up for a long time. They were exhausted. The grief that they'd experienced of sitting there and have Jesus say to them at the Last Supper everything that had happened. So I'm a lot more compassionate for them. But Jesus is, but also too, I feel for Jesus. They were let down at their moment of need because he wasn't there for them when the one time he was looking for them to bring them comfort, and they weren't there. Yeah. Anyway, it's just an aside, but there are it's ironic that story happens and it reflects back on something that just happened like 5 kilometers away from there in Gethsemane. All right. Anything else in Gethsemane story?
Oh, there's so much more, but I say that's fine. That's enough.
Maybe we should mention the cup. Jesus says, if this cup could be taken from me, that's a picture in Jewish, the cup of judgment.
Yep.
So he's using a figurative thing there. Just to help our listeners, when it says drink the cup, in the Old Testament would use it. Ezekiel used it often. God gave him a vision of giving a cup of judgment to the nations and that sort of stuff. So when he says, can I drink this cup, he means, and you drink the cup all the way to the bottom. The idea was you would drink it to the bottom because that was the full extent of the judgment, punishment. Yep. So Jesus is saying, I really don't want to drink this, but I'll drink this cup right to the bottom. Probably the only other thing I can think of that's just worth clarifying for our listeners, if they didn't know that. All right, then. Okay. We'll talk to you on tomorrow's episode.
Yep.
Thanks for being with us today.
See you then.
See you then.